Hey friends out there, Rob here. Today I want to talk to you about pan-tilt zoom cameras. But before we get going into it, have you wondered if PTZ cameras are right for your live stream setup? Are you wondering about the different claims people make about maybe having a built-in battery or an optical zoom or SD card recording? Or what about plugging in an external mic to it so you can get great sound? How does it work with YoloBox or your other live streaming device, A10 Mini, OBS Studio? There are lots of different questions. And the most important question, Rob, how come you haven't reviewed pan-tilt zoom cameras before? I'm going to answer that for you in just a moment, but first I want to share with you an unboxing of OBSBOT and tell you a little bit about what the Tail Air does.
Friends, unboxing Tail Air is fun because it is a powerhouse, pint-sized 4K streaming platform. With its built-in battery, you can stream up to 4 hours, as well as record internal to an SD card up to 4K at 80 megabits per second. That's a huge feat for such a small device. Comes featured with everything you're going to need to get up and running, including additional accessories such as USB cables, and it powers over USB-C. It also has a micro HDMI port that allows you to do direct outs to products like YoloBox as well as A10 Mini Pro. But more importantly, it's got gesture-based AI features which have auto tracking as well as human and subject detection. This means that even without a phone, you can power up the Tail Air and just use your hands to control it. It'll find you, lock onto your friend, whichever you'd like. You can tell it to go wide or zoom in for a telephoto view, all just through the gesture-based navigation with recording included. Guys, Tail Air is awesome.
Okay, we're back. Now you've heard a little bit about what the Tail Air is. Let me go ahead and auto switch from YoloBox so you can see what we've got going on here. And the question for you is, which camera is my regular camera, the one I normally use, which is the AGCX 350? Good question, isn't it? As you see these going around, I want you to remember this little guy fits right in the palm of your hand, literally. As we're switching from scene to scene, I want you to know that everything is set up currently on auto. Whatever camera that you're seeing, well, except for my main camera, I did set that one directly, is set up on auto, right? So imagine how close the other two cameras that you're looking at were able to match towards my main camera. This is a really interesting concept, right? When we think about these things, the next thing I want you to know is that the audio that you're hearing, how do you get audio into the Tail Air? How do we get it over here to YoloBox? Well, you guys have seen my classes. You know I got to run my audio through one of my HDMI channels. How do we get all that stuff in? Well, the Tail Air sends out all of its signal over a micro HDMI. Man, isn't that great? Sure, I would have loved a full-size HDMI, but look how tiny this little guy is. Little micro HDMI cable works great. Now, because it's going out, and I like to send my audio out through the HDMI signal so that everything's synced up nice, let me ask you this. How do you think I sent the audio out this time? Well, if you're saying my lavalier mic going into the Tail Air and then setting that in YoloBox, well, you're absolutely right. That's what I've done. The point that I'm sharing with you is, if the question is, are pan-tilt zoom cameras ready for the mainstream in your audio and video production? My answer is, one of them is, and that's the Tail Air by OBSBOT. The reason is simple. I've got, like I said, probably, if I haven't told you guys, I got about 60 different PTZ cameras that companies have sent me. There's only one that I've actually ever talked about before, and that's the one by YoloBox. Now, I like to partner with companies that I believe have a good product, that I think works well, that listen to feedback, and I love YoloBox. Well, guys, I think I'm falling in love with the Tail Air by OBSBOT. It works well and it looks good. And most importantly, guess what? They listen to feedback. They've got plans with the OBSBOT Tail Air in effect right now. So let me share with you what I haven't done. I haven't talked about pan-tilt zoom cameras on the channel because I haven't thought that any of them would actually function well in my business. Look at this image quality. Now, I'm happy to share with this. As you see, some of these cameras are going to begin switching over to AI mode. Over here on the controller, we didn't talk about that, but one of them is now switched to AI, and this should kind of help you decide which one is which. It's actually zoomed in pretty quick too. So because it's switched to AI, it's actually creating the image of my face and following my face as I move around. So here we got the controller. We can very easily control up to 3 different Tail Airs, and we have all different types of functions. A full video about that will come in at another time. However, the fact that this controller is working just the way that it is, I think is really great. Okay, before we go any further, I gotta share with you the story about how I got hooked up over here on the OBSBOT Tail Air. Why did I even decide to review it? And the simple answer is because my contact at the company, when they asked me to review it the first time, I'd figured that it probably wasn't going to be worthwhile to even review. So I told them no. I shared with them my reasons why, because they asked me afterwards, and then they said, I think that we can help you here. I think we can do it. I replied to them, I don't need any help. I got 60 different PTZ cameras sitting right over there in boxes that really are paperweights because they're not good enough to make money. Listen, YoloBox makes me money. You guys know I share everything I can with you to teach you how to use YoloBox in all the different ways so that it can make you money. When I got the Tail Air in and put it in my hand the first time, that was it. I knew it could make money. And then when I saw all of the different features that were built into it, the game was over, man. Okay, so you saw that unboxing, right? Really nice. But let's talk about what made it so special. There were a couple of things to me that stuck out immediately. And the first one was the quality of the build. I loved how small it was, but also how solid it felt in my hands. The second thing that I liked about it was how easy it was to set up. Other than the remote control, which has a lot of combination functions that you have to do, everything with the OBSBOT Tail Airs themselves and the apps worked well, and it was easy to figure out. I did have to look at the manual for the controls in order to figure out how to make the controls on the camcorder remote work properly. So we haven't talked much about the sensor size. Let's do that now. It's 1/1.8, and that's in between the 1/2.5 and the 2/3. So the two cameras that I use mainly are 1-inch cameras and 1/2.5-inch cameras. I love them for those reasons. Some of you are used to using large cameras like full-frame cameras, and I've got those too. You guys have seen my Panasonic S5, my Sony a7S III. I use those as well. Cameras have different functions, but when it comes down to live streaming and live events, I need something else. I need really long zooms, and I need access to unique places. And you can't usually put a camera in a place like that. Like you're gonna put your full-frame camera on a rafter and let it walk away from it. You won't even do that unless you got a special rig or a gimbal, put it on a rig up there somewhere. It just doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. Which means you can totally put the Tail Air up there. Oh yeah. They've got all kinds of different mounts that you can get with this. Some of them are suction mounts, but you wouldn't even need to. And because it's a pan tilt zoom camera that works with the remote control, friends, because it works with the remote control, you could have it up there and control this from the remote control while monitoring through YoloBox using a Wi-Fi transmitter. Oh, I didn't tell you, some of these are coming in through wireless HDMI transmission as well. Goodness gracious. So, let's talk about applications. I told you this makes money. How does it make money? Well, I think it works great in a church setting. I think it works great in a live stream or conference setting. The image quality is nice. And look how small this is. Is this something that you could actually put up on stage on a podium? Absolutely. There are lots of accessories I cannot wait to get into sharing with you. NDI capability, power over Ethernet, over USB-C, everything that comes in the box, how to use it, and how to switch multiple places from completely out of the room, out of the area, in a different location altogether. It's all capable with this camera and easy. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye for now.